The fluorescent hum of the factory floor was a stark contrast to the hushed quiet of Leonard Thorne's executive office. Today, however, the CEO of Apex Innovations wasn't perched in his leather chair, reviewing quarterly reports. He was Lenny, a new hire on the assembly line, complete with oil-stained overalls, scuffed boots, and a meticulously crafted backstory. His usual bespoke suit was replaced by rough, unyielding fabric that chafed against his skin. The scent of ozone and hot metal now replaced the subtle aroma of his morning coffee. No one knew him here, not truly. This transformation wasn't a lark. It was a desperate measure driven by a gnawing doubt, a persistent trickle of whispers about declining morale and unexplained production dips. He'd dismissed them as isolated incidents, but the unease had festered, urging him to see for himself from the ground up. He believed Apex was a well-oiled machine, efficient and fair. He needed to prove it to himself. The rhythmic clang of presses and the relentless whir of automated arms created a deafening symphony. Lenny, or rather Leonard, felt the vibrations deep in his bones, a constant tremor unlike anything he'd ever experienced in his corner office. The air, thick with the scent of machining fluids, clung to his lungs. It was an immediate assault on his senses, stripping away his comfort, demanding a new kind of awareness. The sheer physical presence of the factory, its raw, unpolished reality, was a stark challenge to his preconceived notions. His first week was a blur of aching muscles and unfamiliar tasks. Small things began to prick at his consciousness. He noticed the way older machines groaned, frequently needing quick, makeshift repairs. He saw the hurried glances exchanged between coworkers when a supervisor walked by, a quick suppression of laughter or a sudden shift in conversation. There were hushed complaints, too, about faulty equipment, about targets that felt unreachable. Another one down, a gruff voice muttered beside him one afternoon, gesturing to a flickering display on a robot arm. Management knows, but hey, if it ain't broke enough to stop production, it ain't broke, right? Leonard felt a knot tighten in his stomach. These weren't the dedicated, problem-solving teams he'd always envisioned. A flicker of unease began to replace his initial confidence. One particularly brutal Tuesday, a critical assembly line bottlenecked. Orders were piling up, and the pressure was palpable. Lenny found himself wrestling with a notoriously finicky component, his hands, accustomed to signing documents, fumbling with the intricate parts. Sweat beaded on his brow, blurring his vision. The foreman, a stern-faced man named Hank, hovered, his gaze sharp. "Come on, Lenny. We don't got all day." Leonard's heart pounded. He felt the weight of everyone's frustrated glances, the silent judgment. He nearly called out for help, a natural instinct for someone used to delegating. But then a thought struck him. If he did, he'd expose himself. He clenched his jaw, focusing, his muscles burning. He finally wrestled the piece into place, just as Hank let out a frustrated sigh. The relief was immense, but so was the lingering tremor of stress. He'd never worked under such immediate, unforgiving pressure. The chilling truth hit Leonard during his third week. A massive pile of defective parts, clearly discarded but not properly logged, lay hidden behind a stack of empty crates in a forgotten corner of the warehouse. He recognized the specific flaw. It was a recurring issue they'd been told was under control. A shiver ran down his spine. This wasn't a minor glitch. It was a systemic failure being swept under the rug. He knelt, his fingers tracing the rough edges of a faulty casing. The sudden coldness that washed over him wasn't from the concrete floor. It was the realization that he had been told, repeatedly, that this was being addressed. The tightening in his chest was a physical manifestation of a profound disappointment, a deep sense of betrayal. How many of these had slipped through? How many customers had received subpar products? The magnitude of the deception, born of negligence, landed like a physical blow. During a lunch break, Leonard overheard a quiet conversation between an older woman named Abigail, whose hands were gnarled from years on the line, and a younger man, Caleb, who always seemed to be nursing a shoulder injury. "They cut the hazard pay again," Abigail sighed, her voice barely a whisper. "And my grandson needs that specialist. I don't know how I'm going to manage." Caleb nodded, wincing as he shifted. "My doctor said I need time off for this shoulder, but if I take it, I lose too many hours. Can't afford to miss a single paycheck, not with rent and the new baby." Leonard felt a pang in his chest. He knew intellectually about the cost of living, but hearing it raw and unfiltered, from people whose sweat built his company, was different. It wasn't just numbers. It was a young family struggling, a grandmother facing an impossible choice. He thought of his own comfortable life, the security he'd always taken for granted, and felt a wave of shame. Their quiet desperation, their unspoken burdens, resonated deeper than any boardroom presentation ever could. The absolute gut-wrenching betrayal came during his final week. He was sent to retrieve a specialized tool from the locked maintenance office, a place usually off-limits to line workers. The door was ajar, a sliver of light escaping. Inside, he heard hushed voices. He peered in unseen. Mr. Harrison, the head of quality control, a man Leonard had personally promoted, was speaking to a vendor, his voice low and conspiratorial. Just make sure those batches are marked approved regardless. We can't afford another delay with that new contract. Leonard's blood ran cold. Approved regardless? It meant deliberately passing defective products. He saw the piles of paperwork, the forged signatures on inspection logs. This wasn't an oversight or a mistake. This was a calculated, deliberate act of fraud, an endangerment of their customers, and a profound disrespect for the very people who worked so hard to build their products. His breath hitched in his throat. The true, devastating scale of the problem, a systemic rot extending far deeper than he could have imagined, slammed into him. It was a chilling dread, a horror that left him trembling. The next morning, Leonard Thorne stood in the factory break room, not as Lenny, but as the CEO. The revelation was stark, dramatic. He simply walked in, shed the overalls, and faced the stunned faces of his employees. Silence fell, thick and heavy as recognition dawned. A mix of fear, awe, and disbelief flickered across their faces. Hank, the foreman, dropped his coffee cup, the ceramic shattering on the floor. Abigail's hand flew to her mouth. Caleb's eyes widened, a mixture of shock and dawning hope in them. The reckoning was swift and uncompromising. Mr. Harrison was immediately dismissed, and a full, independent audit of quality control was initiated. Leonard held an all-hands meeting, his voice unwavering, filled with both remorse and resolute determination. "We failed you," he admitted, his gaze sweeping over the faces, "and for that, I am truly sorry." He announced immediate raises, a comprehensive new benefits package including expanded hazard pay and paid sick leave, and a new, transparent grievance system. The old, faulty machinery was replaced, and a multi-million-dollar investment in employee training and safety protocols was launched. The dawn of a new era at Apex Innovations was palpable. The rhythmic clang of machinery still echoed, but now it felt different, imbued with a renewed purpose. Laughter could be heard more often in the break room. Production numbers soared, but more importantly, the quality of products improved dramatically, leading to glowing customer reviews. The factory, once a place of quiet desperation, transformed into a vibrant community. Employees, feeling heard and valued, invested themselves fully, their pride evident in every product they touched. Leonard Thorne, no longer just a CEO, became a true leader, deeply connected to his people. His journey had been one of profound discovery, a testament to the vital importance of empathy, the transformative power of listening to frontline voices, the eradication of disconnect between leadership and staff, and the profound impact of courageous, ethical leadership. Apex Innovations wasn't just a company. It was a testament to the power of human connection, a resurrection forged in the crucible of truth.